What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub. On this week's show, Oliver Luck versus Vince McMahon trial date. We got some of that information. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football potentially returning to fan control football, and so much, not so much more. We'll get into that in a second. So first up, if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts or record an MP3 or video on your phone, and we'll play it on next week's show. Voicemail 888-430-7692, extension 3. Remember, always leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Google Podcasts, Spotify, the whole deal. And we are live, XFL Week in Review, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. We are 348 days till XFL kickoff. Supposedly, there's going to be an XFL Combine on June 18th. That seems like it might get pushed to the fall, but we'll stick with these numbers for now. January 9th, 2023, we've heard The Rock, Danny Garcia, talk about XFL training camps begin. And of course, February 18th, 2023 is when the XFL season will kick off after the Super Bowl. Now, you're watching the show and you're like, yo, Mark Buddy, there's a lot of other news about this other league called the USFL. Well, you've been talking about it. Why aren't you doing that? Well, if you didn't know, or if maybe you were living under a rock, you know we started USFL News Hub. Just got the logo. I think, was it this week? I mean, yeah. All this stuff was finalized this week. Starting March 1st, all of our content related to USFL is now on USFL News Hub. It was kind of silly if you think about it, where it's like you have McDonald's and Burger King. Maybe I explained this before, is, you have a McDonald's News Hub and you're talking about Burger King, and Burger King's like, yo, we don't want you to talk about us on McDonald's. And McDonald's is like, yo, we don't want you to talk about Burger King on our website either. So we're like, you know what, let's just break it apart and like the two separate things. And I will tell you this, there are fans, there are writers within our own midst that are fans of one and not the other. So just because they're in United States Football League and they both play in the US, there's hardcore XFL fans and there's new up and coming USFL fans. So let's just have things separate. So that's what we're doing here. So here's the deal. And I explained this on the last show. At 9 p.m. Eastern today, you're going to head over to USFL News Hub or USFL Week in Review on your podcasting and get the USFL version of this show. So 8 o'clock, we'll talk XFL. 9 o'clock, we'll talk USFL. I usually run almost 2 hours anyways, so I'm just going to break it up into those two. And whoever wins in the end, if they merge, if they don't merge, if the USFL has to change its name, I think this just kind of keeps it easier for everybody across the board. Because just because you're a fan of one doesn't make you a fan of the other. Now, there are fans of spring football, but there wasn't fans of spring football in Canada. They were interested in spring football in the United States, but not the CFL. I think people are just kind of into their league, and that's it. And that's fine. We'll provide that for you as well. So no worries about that. So remember, if you like football, spring football, particularly the XFL, then like and subscribe to this channel. If you like the USFL, also make sure you subscribe to, guess what the name is? USFLnewshub.com, or go to YouTube and subscribe there. We'll be doing live show. We got a lot to talk about with the USFL stuff with their schedule. Apparently they're going to have their broadcast schedule out next week. Reed's going to be doing the supplemental draft on Thursday. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern at night. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the USFL over there. That's one thing. Number two thing, News Hub Fantasy is open. The new skin is out. You can now sign up and create USFL fantasy site. Clearly XFL is closed. We don't even know the teams or players, but you can go to News Hub Fantasy and sign up, create an account. You can create your own league, USFL League, Canadian Football CFL League right now. And you can invite your friends, and the new skin is up. It looks nice. I had shown it on a couple weeks ago, so that's there. We're also going to have to be able to do mock drafts on News Hub Fantasy real soon. So first, you're going to be able to, this is close to being released, is that you can pre-order your draft. So pre-order your draft, and then the next phase after that, we're going to actually be able to allow you to do mock drafts. So this gives our drafting engine a chance to kind of, you can kick the tires of it, see how it works before we kind of get into a heavy drafting season and move on with the league. So you'll have there, you could play USFL. You'll eventually be able to play XFL. That was always the initial design of it, was for the XFL. So we'll be able to play USFL, CFL, the only CFL fantasy football site that I know of. That will be there. Maybe we'll throw in Fan Control Football as well, but check it out. It's newshubfantasy.com. That's there. So that's what's going on here. We're going to, because there's been this mixture of a lot of USFL questions, the social media aspect was going to be short. And also, when we do the show, we're basically going to cut off at 8:50 so that I can crank it up to do the USFL show. And then coming at the end of the month, starting in April, we're going to bring back the CFL show. So that'll be on at 9 o'clock on, or actually that'll probably, we're retooling that. That'll be at 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. So you can watch there. So I'm going to be doing 3 shows, and somebody in the next year or two, 3, will be the crowned the winner of spring, summer football. And then I can just go back to hanging out with my family again, because instead of doing podcasts. But this is what I love to do. I've always been a radio guy. I used to do radio shows in my basement. So not a lot of XFL news this week. We'll talk about the Oliver Luck trial date. The big thing from Fan Control Football, we got new owners. We are working on getting somebody very big in Fan Control Football to do an interview with us so we can talk about everything that's going on in their leagues. You know I'm all about the NFTs, any kind of crypto stuff. You know I'm all about that stuff. So I have a lot of questions when it comes to that. This new ownership thing, we're going to let all that shake out, and then we'll get into that as well. So, my friends, what's up, everybody in the chat, Facebook, YouTube? Remember, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, make sure you go to USFL News Hub. Look it up on your Facebook. Look it up. You can find it all if you go to usflnewshub.com and find us all there. We are starting at the bottom on this YouTube channel, but I think we really need to, if I were to change the name to Pro Football Week in Review, like, it's just not, it needs to have that USFL in the name or XFL in the name to really target the audience, because that's what you want. You're there to tune in for that kind of content. All right. So without further ado, my friends, let's just get into the week. At least I know now I don't have to do either one of them. I can just pick one, and because I'm always like, oh, XFL Week in Review, but actually I'm talking about the USFL. Well, now we don't have to worry about that anymore. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the week that was very little XFL. Former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck versus Vince McMahon trial is set for July. So the fireworks will go off in July, maybe, perhaps, when we get this thing done. So as we reported several days ago, it seems like the never-ending odyssey of former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck and his trial against former XFL owner Vince McMahon is now set for July 11th, 2022. The date was set by the U.S. District Court of Connecticut in New Haven, home, of course, of the WWE, Connecticut. XFL used to always get mad because I forget what the place now is off the top of my head, where they have their major headquarters. I would always spell it wrong, and then I would always get emails like, no, it's not that, it's this, but I forget what it's called. And it doesn't matter anymore because they're not involved with the XFL. So, months after the XFL folded in 2020, Luck sued McMahon and Alpha Entertainment after Vince terminated his contract. Luck was still owed money and felt that he was wrongfully terminated. On the other hand, Vince McMahon and Alpha Entertainment felt that Oliver Luck violated his contract, was insubordinate by signing a player against McMahon's wishes, and disappeared when the pandemic started. This gave McMahon a reason to fire him and ended the need to pay out the rest of his contract. The original trial date was set for October 8th, 2021. That's a nice day because that's my birthday. But when pushed back to March 7th, 2022, the new July trial date was set after a settlement conference led to no agreement. So they tried to settle out. They had a conference. Both players dug in their heels, and they want this to go to court. So no settlement. We're going to trial in July. Now, Luck is looking to get more than $23 million owed in his guaranteed contract. Remember, Oliver Luck was a lawyer before all of this, so he kind of knows what he signed. This is in addition to damages and attorney fees, by the way. Vince, on the other hand, filed a countersuit for nearly $60,000. Now, the delay in getting to a trial was, of course, due to gathering evidence and both sides being prepared to go to court. There had been an argument regarding Luck's cell phone contents that he used for personal uses instead of business during his time with the XFL. Well, apparently the judge had to rule whether those contents were relevant in the case and believed McMahon's side should be prohibited from disclosing personal information from the phone during the trial. So it looks like the phone is not going to be part of the case. Now, Luck is a former lawyer. Vince McMahon, well, he's Vince McMahon. So it looks like this will go to court and not be settled. We hear from multiple sources that the new XFL, I should say, has no interest in bringing Luck back after this is over. As also, Russ Brandon has taken over the role as XFL president in the 3.0 era. So there's no chance in hell for Vince McMahon, or definitely not Vince McMahon, but definitely former XFL commissioner Oliver Luck to return the XFL. I liked Oliver Luck a lot. Got to meet him multiple times. I thought he was a great ambassador to the league. Some people didn't think he was that great. It's a whole thing, behind the scenes. But there you have it. And we wish them both the best, and we will continue to follow this trial. Maybe they'll settle, but I have a feeling we'll see them in court in July. Fan Control Football had some big news this week. Altered State Machine, I don't know who that is, and Drew Drusky, the Bordas, acquired FCF reigning champion Wild Aces. This was kind of confusing a little bit. Altered State Machine, original co-founders NFL's Austin Eckler and TV personality Rachel Lindsley joined this new ownership group. Fans voted on the new, so Fan Control Football, the online professional, blah, blah, blah. They announced the acquisition of the league's reigning champions, the Wild Aces, by a new ownership group comprised of Altered State Machine, ASM comedian Drew Drusky, NFL running back Austin Eckler, and former Bachelorette and current TV host Rachel Lindsay. ASM and Drusky are joining forces with Eckler and Lindsay, who are two of the Wild Aces founding co-owners, as they seek to build the team's championship run heading into the season version 2.0, which is set to begin April 16th. In Atlanta. Looks like an awesome stadium. The Wild Aces acquisition is on the heels of the FCF closing a $40 million Series A just 2 months ago, which is led by leading 3.0 gaming and technology-focused venture groups, including blah, 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 blah. While owners in other pro sports league have struggled mightily in recent times to launch rebranding efforts that their fans actually are excited about in true FCF fashion, this new ownership group is turning it all over to the fans to come up with a new name and logo for their team. And of course, fans can visit fcf.io to submit their ideas. So there you have a new ownership coming in. I'm not really sure why the old ownership left. Both guys are very interested and excited about what's going on at FCF as well as I am. So if you want to get part of all that stuff, they have the Ballers Collective NFT, which I own, the Kingpins, the Bored Ape Football Club, the Kings of Degen Football Club, and 8 Okie Football Club. That's me. I'm part of that team. So if you want to check all that up, that's all going to be Fan Control Football. Look it up. They are kicking off in their cool stadium on April 16th, same day the USFL is. So I guess you can always watch the games on replay, perhaps. Is it true? Is it true? Could we get a return of a one Jonathan Manziel for the Fan Control Football 2.0 season? I don't know. Love him or hate him, Johnny Manziel still moves the needle and brings eyeballs. According to a report by TMZ, Manziel is currently talking with Fan Control Football to return to the league, but there's a catch. Quote, our sources feel confident Manziel will be back in season 2, at least for a few games. Just play them all. But here's where it gets interesting. We're told Johnny will not be returning to the Zaps for the upcoming season. He's dying to play with Drewski's new team. In fact, Johnny went on Instagram early Friday morning to express his interest in joining the comedian squad, saying, only coming out of retirement for Drewski, too funny, and should have been athletics. Drewski last week was announced as the new owner of the defending champion Wild Aces. They're changing their name. Last season, Johnny Manziel played 3 games for the Zappers and teamed up with wide receiver Josh Gordon. FCF is set to return April 16th with games live on Twitch, NBC LX, which is kind of a meh channel on, I can get it on Roku. Peacock is the big one. They've actually been showing videos and a bunch of stuff on NBC LX with like tryouts and stuff like that. So you can actually see some already, they're the first really of content coming out of tryouts and everything. Fan Control Football has it on there. I have to check Peacock if it's on there. We actually will have at least 1 or 2 reporters totally focused on Fan Control Football at XFL News Hub for the 2.0 season. Should be exciting. All right, we'll be back after this commercial break. Stay tuned, my friends.
Coming up this week on the Markcast, huge guest list, huge show. We're coming off our big USFL draft high. Tons of content, tons of new subscribers. Really appreciate everyone coming on. We have CFL Insider himself, longtime friend of the show, Dave Naylor, breaking down all the USFL, CFL drama, whatever's going on with player contracts. Is the USFL going to kill the CFL? All of that.
There are guys that will play professional football in the U.S. that won't play in Canada. Like, there just are, right? So there's a bunch.
Coming up this week on the Markcast, it is our Law and Order meets Alt Football edition of the show. The real USFL is suing the new USFL. As opposed to just pontificating and doing Google researches, I decided to talk to some experts to see what they have to say. General thoughts on USFL so far? What do you think about it?
What we know of it seems like they're doing a lot of things right. I mean, I say that as they're, being hauled into court for the legitimacy of their very name and team brand. So maybe I shouldn't go too far down that path.
I talked with Ben Fisher of the Sports Business Journal all about this. Ben was the journalist that broke the story about the USFL lawsuit. Really interested to get Ben's thoughts on that and kind of the ramifications he thinks moving forward. I also bring back friend of the show, trademark and IP lawyer Michael Cohen out of Beverly Hills to really dive into the legitimacy of this lawsuit. We're going to get Michael's thoughts.
Right now, it's a power struggle in regards to the true ownership of the trademark rights. Is it going to be this entity in which they're calling themselves the real USFL, or is it going to be the Fox camp?
And then I also got CFL talk. We got Richie Leone, longtime fan favorite of the Ottawa Red Blacks and America's team, the BC Lions, is coming on the show.
Canada is a long-term a better play because you can make a great career up here. You can be a part of something. There's a lot of history, and I love that part about the CFL.
Big time show this week. Lots of research, lots of energy, scheduling everything, working through everything. If you guys like and enjoy, please share the video, like and subscribe, retweet, and have a good day. Thanks again.
Got to take my glasses off. All right, we are back. Not much in XFL news. Tons of USFL news we'll get into in the next hour at 9 p.m. Remember, that's not on this channel. That is on USFL News Hub channel. So you're going to want to go to USFL News, subscribe, like, do that right now. On to the chat room. We got PSNC says, who in the USFL are you cheering for? You're going to have to tune in the next show. But I will tell you who real quick. I will tell you who, and you can see on the camera. I got my hat. I'll be wearing it on the show. Tampa Bay Bandits are my team. I even got the shirt on draft day when they put all that stuff out. I got my merch. So that is my team there, but I'm not going to really say that. Just going through all of the comments. Let's go to let's see here. I mean, a lot of it is, let's see here. I'm trying to keep it not related to the USFL, as we will do that on the next thing. Let's see here. Let's go to, and you guys are voting on the logo, I think, last time. Let's go to the YouTubes. Does that work? Yeah, there we go. There's a YouTube. Guys, got you voting. Trinity Jenkins says, keep up the great work. DC Defenders all day. Washington Redskins for life. I don't know about the Redskins. 343 Foxton, exactly. Thank you. They'll always be the Redskins. Not okay. Going that. +3 is the best. This is all everybody voting on the logo. James says, is News Hub Fantasy free fantasy? Do you have to pay to play to get into the leagues? I will reply right here, my friend. James, it is free. That's right. There's not even any ads on it. I'm not even worried about that right now. There is no ads on it. It is free. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Check out the new skin. Maybe I'll just pull it up real quick since we have a little time. News Hub Fantasy live television show. Let's go into the Instagrams real quick while that's booting up. About Johnny Manziel, Joe says no. Russell, the Truth Seeker, says Johnny Football, and Russell also says awesome. I guess he's excited about that. On Vince McMahon's, I don't know. Oh, there's about Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck going at it. Dog G fan _2021 says Vince sucks. Okay. Jabo.coreburn says Oliver did a great job. I think he did. Yeah, I think he did a good job. I think Jeffrey Pollack, I think the whole team did a good job. Whether or not everybody was all on the same page, I don't know if Vince was getting a little tired of Oliver, if there was friction there. I don't know. Corporate drama, I guess. We will probably definitely, I heard Reed talking about one of his podcasts about doing a 30 for 30. Definitely on the 5 games of the XFL season, 30 for 30 definitely is worth doing in a couple of years. That's for sure. And the XFL, CFL also is the same thing. Joshua the Foreigner, DJ's XFL has already named their new commissioner, right? Yes, because I'd love to see him back. If not for COVID, he would have had a damn hit in his hands. Yep, we got Russ Brandon is back. I mean, if Jeffrey Pollack didn't make it through, it didn't last. This new team, I mean, they did bring, some former XFL personnel, but not the big guys, not the Jeffrey Pollack, Oliver Luck. Now, the question is, my friends, would you freak out if Oliver Luck or Jeffrey Pollack showed up at the doorstep in the USFL in, say, year 2 or 3? That would be the interesting part. I still think this is an incubator season. I think the USFL is going to keep it small. If this is a runaway success and they're like, yeah, baby, we're making money, this is awesome, we could potentially see, could we see some of these guys, let me see here. What am I looking for? See some of these guys, the big name guys from the XFL returning in the USFL. All right. Let's see here. We have anybody in the chat? Samuel on the chat on Facebook says, is there an FCF News Hub? No, not an FCF News Hub. That's a good one. Joe says, Texans, Roughnecks, Gamblers. I'm all for that. Sam says, go Roughnecks and Michigan Panthers. Joe, we're ready for some Roughnecks. I assume that you guys are going to have your teams back. I'm really hopeful that you do. Now, what we're doing is we're still posting our USFL content on XFL News Hub. That's for now. That is for now, not for the long term. But you guys want to take a look at, let's see, this work? There we go. Here's News Hub Fantasy. What do you think? You like it? So here we got some leagues in here, some AEW leagues. You can create your own league. You got the tutorial. You can create an account. You can log in and click around. I'm not going to do that. Well, actually, I'll do that. You want me to log in real quick? We'll take a look. That's News Hub Fantasy. Let me log into one of my accounts. And it's been good. We've actually been getting some feedback. Get my password. Is this my password? Okay. Yep. I've been getting some good feedback from fans, but people asking questions are like, hey, how do you do this or how do you do that? So here's my account. So once you log in, you have actually like the last league that you like signed up for. And then you can go to the USFL section. And then this is going to have top players, the top teams of the week. And we'll get some more stuff. And then you can see your league that you're part of. You can join a league. I don't think I checked this out. So there's 2 USFL leagues. Each one's got 2 members. So you can just click on that and join if you want. Or you can come back and create your own league if you want to do that too. Drafting is like league name, description, points, commissioner only, live draft, and the draft date, public and private. And then if you want to see what a league looks like, here's the USFL Masters League. It's got a link that you can send to your friends to register. Talks about the name. And this is what's coming up next is this pre-draft is what I'm excited about. That's coming soon. So you'll be able to take the names of the players and kind of set up your order for that. And then there's league members here. You've got settings. You can chat. So if I type in a message here, it'll get sent to everybody in the thing. League notifications. So those are things like if you have somebody drops a player, somebody picks up a player, there's a trade made, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what the site looks like for the USFL. But we'll have that for the XFL. So this will be the trial run basically for the XFL. That's the real thing. I really think that the USFL is not coming out of the gates like the XFL did, and the XFL, I believe, will. I mean, if you just look at XFL interest on Reddit versus USFL is still really low considering they've had a draft. I think it's going to pop when the league starts, but I don't know if it's going to have the same pop as the XFL did when that came out. So that's why I want to get a USFL season, a CFL season in, and then I think we'll be ready to, got an itch on my foot, and then we'll be able to kick out and get all the bugs out and work out everything good. Finally, last email. Let's check an email. We've got a question from Charles. He says, dedicated season ticket holder for Commandos, first time contributor. Without question, would love an XFL pro team located at the Alamo Dome. Me too. I want to go down to San Antonio. Was I in San Antonio? I don't think I was in San Antonio. I was in Arlington, but I don't know if I went to San Antonio. I don't know if that's close. He says, season ticket for me and my buddies, a big yes. Propose a scrum or version of it instead of a kickoff. That would be an innovation. Keep it. I love the XFL kickoff. I was talking to somebody today about, they were asking me about the XFL NFL partnership. Of course, the first thing is they're like, oh, they're going to be a developmental league. I'm like, no. Just the rules now. He also said, instead of defenders or drillers, would love to see the San Antonio club be called the Conquistadors. Await your thoughts on these. Let's play professional football in San Antonio. All the best, and cheers to the league. Go The Rock. Lead the way to a pro team starved community in South Central Texas. Always. Again, the question is about all these stuff. And Charles, appreciate the email. Are we going to get 8 teams or are we going to get 10 teams? Are those 2 new teams? I cannot see having 3 teams in Texas. Is one of them going to be in Mexico? Is one of them be in Canada? Are they just going to go with 8? I think the XFL is also sitting back a little bit, especially if they're moving their combine not into June, but we've heard to the fall. I think they're really kind of taking a step back and seeing how things shake out with the USFL before they make any strategic moves. I think the NFL thing was a big one to come. I think we're going to get the USFL's broadcast schedule tomorrow. Is the XFL going to come out with anything? I mean, we're in March. Are we not going to hear a peep from the XFL until the USFL season's over? We're just going to have to find out. All right, last check of our pals in the chat room on YouTube's Xbox Series killer. Oh my goodness. Why would you kill the Xbox? I want Battlehawks back. Paladin Demo says we want all the Battlehawks back. Yes. When do you expect the XFL to give us full details on the 2023 season? That's from Clint. I thought we would have a lot of that stuff right now. Now, I think this week is going to be all about the USFL. And I still feel I haven't had this confirmed yet. I'll start reaching out to some folks and seeing if we're going to get anything. Paladin says, I expect June. You might be right. I mean, they might be waiting till after the USFL season is over. Jose says, which team do you expect to stay in their 2023 or will they locate? Paladin 6 of the 8. I think he says Wildcats need to move, be more invested in Vipers possibility. I've said those things too. And Xbox Series Killer says 100 teams. That would be a little much, my friend. Xbox Killer. I cannot wait until what's it called? Returns. They were talking about Grand Theft Auto coming back. So there you have it. Coach says Jamba Juice out of a straw April and May. Okay. Whatever. You're talking about Zoa? Anybody need any Zoa? I got Zoa. I don't drink it, but I've got Zoa. Here. 2. All right, my friends, that is it for this week's show. Not much going on in the XFL world. We'll keep you posted on anything new. Remember, hang out with XFL News Hub for all that stuff. And remember, USFL News Hub, go like and subscribe over to that right now because we're having that show coming on at 9 p.m. Eastern. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. Please make sure it is related to the XFL. That would be nice. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That spreads the word. And remember, you can watch this show, XFL Week in Review, live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And of course, we've got our timeline. 348 days till XFL kickoff, my friends. I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited because we're about to get into all of this football that we've been waiting for since you know what hit. It was basically nothing. And then even it was talk of the XFL, CFL, and that died. And then it was like, all right, well, at least we have the CFL. And I'm super excited to talk about the CFL too. I love these leagues, and there's so much good storylines going on with the CFL coming in this next season. I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited to watch the kickoff of Fan Control Football and the USFL. So it's going to be a fun spring. We finally getting to have a spring football league that lasts more than 3 seasons. That's the goal. Right now, it's just to finish a season because the AAF didn't do it and the XFL didn't do it. So the USFL, we are rooting for the USFL to finish a full season. I think they'll do it between, as long as they don't have their name issue, and we'll talk about that on the show at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. All right, that's it for my friends, folks. Hey, God bless. Stay safe out there. Love you guys. Thank you for participating. And I will see you all later next week.